are now listening to Lower Road Radio.
Hey, welcome one and all to the #1 podcast, winter, spring, and fall. Talking sports for the thrill of it all. Hey, talking life, but we're killing it all. Jason and Dan with the master plan. These are dangerous men with the mic in the hand. Ha. Bonafide winners everywhere that we go. You're a part of the team.
Lower Road Radio.
Dad light, thug light, bright lights in sight. All right. What? Dad light, thug light, bright lights in sight. All right. Yeah. Dad light, thug light, bright lights in sight. All right. What? Bonafide winners everywhere that we go. You're a part of the team.
Lower Road Radio.
Let's get it.
What?
Okay, that's fine. At Tanagra, when the walls fell. This is Dan always coming at you another time for Lower Road Radio with my co-host, as always, Jason. How you doing today?
You gave me some bad advice.
As I am wont to do.
You told me to get the Starbucks Nitro Cold Brew.
I did, and you didn't like it?
It was $4.25
Yeah, it's
of the
expensive.
worst drink.
You didn't like it?
It's the most overrated drink that I've ever drank.
You didn't like it?
Listen, it was It was coffee. It was coffee.
Disagreed.
It was cold coffee is what it
disagree.
was.
You don't like cold coffee, though.
No, I love cold coffee. I get an iced coffee.
I'm drinking cold coffee right now, but only because I made it like 5 hours ago. and
No,
I'm still
I don't
drinking.
do that. If you add ice to it and make it an iced coffee, I'm totally on board with this. Or cold brew.
You didn't
Just
find it
normal.
to be super smooth? Like
No, not at all.
Well, I disagree. I think it's excellent, and
Well,
I
listen.
mean, I don't get it all the time because it is $4. Did you get the grande?
big-
or
yeah, the biggest one,
I get the
whatever.
tall. I get the small one because I don't need much because it is highly caffeinated, and
Yeah.
something about the nitro like makes me
To me, I'll take the biggest. What's the biggest size there is?
venti. I
Venti.
believe. No, Trenta
Yeah, that's what I get. The Trenta iced coffee.
iced
with-
coffee,
Yeah.
cold brew.
No, I do iced coffee with a splash, a very little light splash of heavy cream.
Do you say splash?
Well, on the app it says splash. So
Oh.
it says splash.
You order it with the app.
I do every single time.
Wow.
So I order it with the app. I
Mm-hmm.
pay for it with the app, and then I go through the drive-through and I say mobile pickup for Jason. Go through and they hand it to me and I'm out.
I've never done that before.
It's great,
I'm not trusting of technology.
and you earn points. So I've got like 100 stars right now that I can redeem for other coffees.
That's one of my favorite Seinfeld episodes when Elaine is trying to eat the subs at that sub store so she can get her ticket punched. You know, she goes, 3 more subs and I'm a submarine captain. and then Jerry's like, what happens when you're a submarine captain? She goes, free sub.
Yeah.
So funny.
Well, listen. I mean, if you're going to get Starbucks anyways, utilize
I
the
feel like
reward.
those things are for the weak-minded. You know, they're tricking you into buying more stuff. making
No,
you
they're really
feel-
not.
Yeah.
When I do buy, I use the app.
The only thing that I use, like when it comes to a rewards thing, is Kroger. Because we do most of our grocery shopping at Kroger, and then we get the fuel points.
Yeah.
And we'll save like up to $1 a gallon on gas.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
like $20.
seems- Yeah, that's a quality. I mean, it's probably still-
Kroger's is overcharging on many of their items.
But if you go there on the right days and you know what you're looking for, you can get as good a deal
they have
as anywhere.
Yeah, no, they have great deals like 10 for 10 type
Yeah.
of things.
I pretty much only shop the stuff that's on sale.
Yeah.
And plus they've got some stuff that is marked way down. That's how I buy all my coffee. Because they've got expensive coffees that I would never pay that much for, but every once in a while they'll put it on clearance and it'll be like a $10 can of coffee for like $2.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Well, the other thing is Kroger's carries all the keto stuff.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
like the pork rinds, the seltzer water,
The good pork rinds.
the good pork rinds,
Yeah.
and the good seltzer water.
Yeah.
They sell it in a 12-pack.
Yeah, the Kroger brand.
The Kroger branded
it's
one.
good. I've got some here. I was
Yeah.
going to get some before we started recording, but I forgot.
What I
That's
don't
why I'm
like-
drinking cold coffee.
What I don't like is like all the new, like, because now all the pop companies
Yeah.
start doing it, and they're in 8-pack, and they're
Yes.
even smaller cans.
And the
they
smaller cans
cost
8-pack,
more.
and they cost more.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, it is outrageous. It's it's another Seinfeld thing. It's outrageous, preposterous, egregious. That's Jackie
Yeah, the
Childs.
lawyer.
Jackie
Yeah.
Childs. Who told you to put the bomb on? I didn't tell you to put the bomb on. All right. Jason, speaking of Seinfeld, we are doing a special Mount Rushmore today. That is, explain to the people what it is.
It is the Mount Rushmore of comedians.
Boom, there it is.
Okay.
We're not. That's it.
Well,
Mount Rushmore of comedians.
we're going to break it down.
Let's break it down.
We're going to have 3 different categories.
Wait a minute. 3 different Mount Rushmores or 3 different categories in which to choose
3 different
the 4
Mount
people
Rushmores.
from?
3 different Mount Rushmores.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be some crossover then.
Oh, I don't think so.
All right.
Well, I think if we intentionally just say, is your computer freaking out there?
I don't know. It looks like it's freaking out, but
Can we just keep recording?
It looks like it's recording.
Okay.
I mean, the lines are, still there, but it was making weird. I don't know. Let's keep going.
Okay.
We'll be fine.
3 Mount Rushmores
All right.
of comedians.
All right. Let's
Here
do
are
it.
the 3 categories.
Go.
Movie comedians,
Movie comedians.
TV
So,
comedians.
so comedic actors?
Yes.
So this is the Mount Rushmore of comedic actors. Okay.
Comedians who primarily focus on movies.
Okay.
And then TV is a
All
separate
right.
one. Like Seinfeld would be TV. Or the third option, stand-up. So Seinfeld could be, if you want him
That's
on
what
the
I said. There's
stand-up,
going to be some crossover.
there could be. There may or may not be. There's no
Seinfeld
guarantee.
also made the B movie, so maybe he'll be on all 3.
He's not funny in the B movie.
There's a couple of
It's an
laughs.
overrated movie.
I don't know that it's overrated. I don't think it did very well. But
It's
got
still
a couple,
overrated.
It's got a couple of good laughs in it. I watched it recently.
It's a solid D+, C-.
All right, so where do you want to
movie.
start? Let's end on stand-ups, because I think those are the purest form of comedians.
Okay. Let's start with movies. That's the low-hanging fruit.
All right.
Do you have anybody that you would like to nominate up front?
Like my George Washington?
Yeah, what would be your George Washington of comedians that primarily focus on movies?
Do you feel like the list you gave me is extensive?
I mean, it's what
Is this
Google-
from your brain or from the internet?
It's from the internet.
Okay, that's fine. I trust the internet more than your brain. If I had to pick, I'm going to pick 2 that I feel like are your Washington and your Jefferson. You ready?
Yes.
Jerry Lewis and Jim Carrey.
Okay, so you definitely like Jim Carrey more than I do.
Okay.
I'm not a Jim Carrey hater, but I believe that other people deserve serious consideration on this.
Okay.
I think that, one obvious one, Mel Brooks, because he means more to the movie than just as an actor. He's in a lot of movies as
Well,
the
this
actor.
is why I was asking you, is it comedic actors or is it just comedians involved in the movie process?
I think it's comedians involved in the movie
Okay, well, now
process.
you've changed it again.
Well, see, so like TV comedians,
All right.
Conan O'Brien would be an obvious one.
Conan O'Brien!
Not only does he do his late night show,
He
but
does.
he also wrote for The Simpsons for years.
The Simpsons. I
I
started
think-
learning the Simpsons riff on the bass the other day.
Awesome.
I almost have it.
I'm
It's
proud of you.
awesome. Yeah.
But I feel like his years where he was writing for The Simpsons are golden years.
Yeah,
for it.
people look at it. Those are people. People who are really
The Simpsons
into it. Simpson heads.
aficionados.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They view those like he only wrote for like 4 years, but
Yeah.
those were like the ultimate years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's all because of him and if it was just the confluence of everything coming together. But-
Right.
All right.
Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What did we talk about with Leslie Nielsen? Airplane, Naked Gun.
Yeah.
I just
Classic slapstick. He
Yeah.
transitioned. He was a serious actor.
no, I know.
And he transitioned to
No,
comedy,
I
and
know.
it was very good.
I know. You
Okay.
don't have to explain to me.
What about Chevy Chase?
I think of him when I think of what may like.
Okay, so
I think
name
of him
the
as an
one
SNL
thing.
guy.
So when I think of Chevy Chase,
You think of Vacation
I think of Christmas Vacation.
and probably the other.
And
vacation.
the other vacations, but specifically the Christmas Vacation. It's a classic.
I just don't feel like it's broad enough. I don't feel like he's done enough.
Okay, so you're looking for well-rounded.
Yeah, I don't want just a 1 or 2 hit wonder.
Do you think Charlie Chaplin belongs on it?
Oh yes, 100%. I'm sorry if I missed. I want to
He is on the
apologize
list.
to
He
Charlie
is
Chaplin.
on the list.
I want to apologize to Charlie Chaplin's family. I want to apologize to everybody except for Hitler that had a Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Okay, so we're going to lock in Abraham and Lincoln, Charlie Chaplin,
And Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis. I'm okay with this.
All right.
I think those are good. So now we've got 2 other spots to fill.
You have on the list Woody Allen, overrated.
Yes, Woody Allen is the most overrated comedian on the planet. I could not even believe he came up in the comedian search when I went to Google. Do you look at him as funny?
It's a different kind of funny.
It's not funny at all.
If you're like from New York City,
No.
well, you're not. If you're like a Jewish person from New York City, you might think he's hilarious.
No, who I think is hilarious is Larry David. He is hilarious.
He is funny, but he doesn't belong on this list. Maybe another list, but not
Maybe.
this one.
What about
Robin?
So-
Robin Williams. See, the thing is, I think Robin Williams probably belongs on the Mount Rushmore of
stand-up?
stand-up. I don't think, like, although his movies were, like, he did some good ones.
He
but
was
I
a
don't-
well-rounded
I can't
actor.
think of the, like, slam dunk Robin Williams. What is it, like Mrs. Doubtfire?
When I think Robin
Good
Williams
Morning
movie,
Vietnam.
well, personally, I think of Hook.
Hook,
But he wasn't a really.
See,
it wasn't
yeah,
a comedic
it's
role.
No.
Okay, so what about? Okay, so my personal favorite on this list, I've got two of them.
Can I guess?
Yes, I
Well-
got two of them.
Will Ferrell,
No,
Danny McBride.
yes,
Yeah, I know you.
I
like him.
love me some Danny McBride.
Now, I'm just this is a side note. I just listened to like an hour and a half interview of Danny McBride.
Okay,
I don't know, because you like Danny McBride.
Yeah.
It's
Was
called,
it good?
It's a podcast called Armchair Experts.
okay,
Dax Shepard's podcast. Yeah, it was interesting to listen to him talk. He's got
Yeah.
a new show on HBO called something Gemstones or something like that.
Okay.
He plays the son of John Goodman, and John Goodman is the pastor at a mega church who's looking to pass it on to his son.
Okay.
And Danny McBride and this other guy are his two sons. And apparently Danny McBride and his son, the apple fell far from the tree.
Yes.
And they're not very,
Yeah.
reliable.
yes,
So
no, I can see that. I just watched Pineapple Express for the first time.
I've not seen
Him and
it.
John Franco.
Not seen it.
It was pretty good. I like it. It was his first
See,
really.
you got
launching
some
point.
people on this list that I like.
Okay, so the other
but
one-
I just
My other favorite, personal favorite, Vince Vaughn. I love Vince Vaughn.
Listen, I love Vince Vaughn too, but I don't think like he's like I mean, he doesn't belong.
doesn't belong
on
in
the
the
same
list.
list as Jerry Lewis and Charlie Chaplin.
I agree.
And I mean, I like some of the people that you put. Like, I like Jack Black, but what's Jack Black's seminal movie, like comedic movie?
School of Rock.
Yeah, I mean, it just
Okay,
no.
so I think Mel Brooks belongs on the list. I think there's a whole segment of movies that he belongs on.
All right, we'll put Mel Brooks on the list.
This is the Mount Rushmore. This is
Yeah.
iconic. Yeah.
All right.
So Mel Brooks, Charlie Chaplin.
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
I feel like we have 3 time periods, so I feel
That's
like
true.
we're missing the modern one. And
I think
I
Will-
know you don't like him, but I think it's Jim Carrey,
Jim Carrey, possibly Will Ferrell.
possibly Will Ferrell, but I don't know. I would put Jim Carrey on the list because he can do something in movies that's unique. I think like the thing about Charlie Chaplin and Jerry Lewis that made them what they were is the physical comedy aspect of it. And it's hard to be a physical comedian on a movie screen. There's something about it that doesn't always, like, you have to be extra special
That's
to
true.
get physical comedy to translate through that. And Jim Carrey is a genius at it. I mean, you may not like him,
Okay.
but I think he belongs on this
Okay,
list.
that's fine. Let's go with it.
Okay.
So that's the list. What is it again?
Charlie Chaplin, Jerry Lewis, Jim Carrey,
Mel
Mel
Brooks.
Brooks. That's a pretty good list.
That's a pretty good list.
And I'll admit that Jim Carrey is the Teddy Roosevelt of this list.
Well, here's the
I can
thing.
even admit that.
Someone would have to make a case for somebody else to replace him. And I don't know if there is one.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Eddie Murphy, Ben Stiller, Steve Martin.
I love Steve Martin.
I do too, but I just he's not. When I think of Steve Martin, I don't think movie star. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
think.
I love Bill Murray.
I love Bill Murray too, but
You know what? I mean, I could almost make a case for Bill Murray. He's had a second renaissance of
but not comedy though. Like his second Renaissance-
Zombieland.
I've not seen it.
It
But
is great.
Most of his Renaissance is like kind of like dramatic,
Yeah.
super dry. He's good
pretty
at it.
Ghostbusters and Caddyshack, and I mean, he's great.
If you wanted to replace Jim Carrey with Bill Murray, I would allow it.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Jim Carrey, and 1 being
Bill Murray?
Bill Murray,
Okay.
where do you fall on the scale?
I'm like a 5.5 at Jim Carrey.
Okay, I'm like a 2 Bill Murray.
Okay.
So let's go Bill Murray.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Bill Murray, Mel Brooks, Charlie Chaplin, Jerry Lewis.
I feel like you're going to sleep better tonight.
Yeah, I feel better.
Okay. All right, TV.
So
I got a couple of slam dunks.
okay, go for it.
Well, let me just say, I think that this list for me is going to be pretty easy. It's Jerry Seinfeld. It's Lucille Ball.
Yes.
And the third that I think is a slam dunk is Johnny Carson, who you don't even have on this list, I don't think. But to me, those are your three slam dunks.
I know you and I both really like Bob Newhart.
Well, yes, but this list is bigger than us. We cannot let our own personal
I
bias.
just saw Bob Newhart the other day on something else. I can't remember what
Bob
it was.
Newhart's great. I'll take Bob Newhart any day, as much Bob Newhart as you want to give me.
He might be my number one comedian of all comedians.
He's hilarious. And his stand-up, I mean, I want to make a pitch for him on the stand-up aspect of it. But he doesn't belong on this list, as much as I would like to put him on this
So
list.
this is iconic.
So that's why Seinfeld,
Seinfeld's iconic.
Lucille Ball,
Iconic.
and
Johnny Carson.
Iconic. I
Iconic.
mean, that's it. Those three are obvious. Now, I mean, do you put Dick Van Dyke on the show? I mean, on this?
I love me Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
I love him.
I mean, he might belong on this list.
He's pretty great.
I could see putting Steve Carell on this list.
He meant a lot. He changed. Well, I mean, Ricky Gervais.
Well, then maybe we should put Ricky Gervais on the list.
I mean, they changed how
Ricky
modern
Gervais
TV.
probably more than Steve Carell.
He just copied Ricky.
I feel like Steve Carell actually did it better than Ricky Gervais.
I agree.
But Ricky Gervais is responsible for
Yes, absolutely.
it. Yeah, I mean, the other people on the list.
Tim Allen has had two. No, listen. The Last Man Standing.
I won't stand for. No.
Have you seen it? You've never
Not
even
yet.
watched it.
Not yet.
I'm telling you, it is a great stand-up, and it has phenomenal ratings. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal ratings.
Yeah, okay.
He's had like 2 decades of 2 different shows in 2 completely different eras.
I'm sure people that watch Fox News think it's hilarious.
You're a liberal, aren't you? You're a closet liberal.
No, I'm not a closet liberal. Do I think we should have socialized medicine? Yes. All right. Doesn't mean I'm a liberal, you know.
OMG.
No, I actually just had a conversation with Levi about that today. He's been in class. They've been learning about capitalism, socialism, communism, and he's saying, because he's learning about it, he's like, actually, if you look at it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, he goes, now, I understand that it doesn't, but it makes sense if everybody, I said, no, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It never works.
Competition.
He goes, I know it. I know it's never worked before, but if everybody, I was like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. I said, would you want to live in that society? He goes, well, if everybody was, I'm like, no, you wouldn't want to live in this society, because then if you're working harder than the guy down the street,
That's right.
so
Competition is good.
yeah. So listen, I've just outed myself as not a liberal. I'm conservative. But,
So there's 2 more names
but
on this
I'm
list.
not putting Tim Allen on this
That's
list.
fine. Okay, listen, there's 2 more names on this list that deserve consideration.
I just figured it. Yeah,
Lorne Michaels.
It's Lorne Michaels. It's Lorne Michaels. It's Lorne. I won't hear anything else.
Okay.
It's Lorne Michaels.
Okay, so what's the list?
It is
Seinfeld.
Lucille Ball, Johnny Carson, and Lorne Michaels.
Done.
That's it.
That's the list.
That's the list. That was a lot easier than the movie list. Movie list was hard.
It was hard. See, I think there's a lot of funny movies, but to really make an iconic comedian actor, because all actors, they don't want to be pigeonholed as a one type actor, right? They all
Yeah, I
want to
think
be
so.
a broad.
Except for Jerry Lewis knew what he was.
Listen, he was who he was.
Charlie
It was
Chaplin
Jerry
knew
Lewis.
what he was.
That's right.
That's why they get on the list. The other guys,
He's got a funny hat and a cane and a Hitler mustache.
Pre-Hitler, but it was pre-Hitler. I mean, Hitler was alive, but
Do you think Hitler was like trying to soften his image by saying, you know what? I know I'm a mean guy, but if I get a Charlie Chaplin mustache, people will like me.
Do you know the story behind the Hitler mustache?
No.
You don't?
No, I have never. No.
He started it when he was in World War I because he had like a big like German long mustache.
Ooh, I would have liked that better.
Yeah, much more menacing. But it was in World War I, and he put his gas mask on. And when he put his gas mask on, he couldn't seal it because of the mustache.
Yeah.
So he cut off either side of the mustache and just kept it down the middle so he could get his gas mask on, and he just kept it that way because he liked the way it looked.
I kind of wish he would have kept the full.
I know, much more menacing, But I don't know. I think he accomplished the menacing aspect of it, through his actions.
Okay, so we've got movies done. We've got TV done. Let's do stand-up.
Stand-up.
Okay, so this might be the hardest one.
There's a lot of heavy hitters on this list.
A lot of heavy hitters.
And it just has occurred to me that, although, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Our lists so far have been very pale.
I noticed that. I didn't want to bring it up.
Okay. We do have a woman represented, though, with Lucille Ball.
See, the pitch I was going to make also was Roseanne Barr.
Or Tina Fey.
Tina Fey, yeah.
But the list is the list. We can't go back now. So I'm not saying that.
I mean, we've already etched it in stone.
Yeah,
it can't un-etch it.
So maybe we should just do all black guys for this list.
Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
Bill Cosby,
Uh-huh.
Dave Chappelle,
Uh-huh.
and Kevin Hart.
You're going to leave Chris Rock off the list.
Oh, gosh. I think black guys are better at stand-up. Richard Pryor. All those guys are hilarious.
I got a couple of white dudes that are pretty good, too.
Okay, so what's your list?
All right. Now, I'd like to make Seinfeld a slam dunk on this list as well.
God, I don't know.
Jerry Seinfeld.
We've already etched him in another mountain.
I don't care. Like, he is...
Okay, listen, let's put him on the back burner. Let's see if we can fill it up with 4 other people.
Okay, now let me just say this. I listen to a lot of comedy interview podcasts. It's like, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say I've listened to, I don't know, 1,000 hours of comedians being interviewed. I don't think that, I mean, a lot.
Okay.
And everyone, almost without fail, who was alive, like, and doing work from the 70s and the 80s, they all say that the best guy during that time on the route was Jay Leno.
I've heard that.
They all say he was like the one that everybody looked up to. Like nobody was better than Jay Leno.
I have a hard time imagining
I have a hard time imagining it too. I mean, I'm not saying he's never funny to me, but I'm never like, oh my gosh, Jay Leno, stand-up genius.
The one thing that I liked, that I remember, and you still kind of see it from time to time, was the jaywalking, where he's interviewing people on the street, and these people are clueless about everything.
I don't know. That's just what everybody says. I'm not putting him on the list, though.
No, he does not belong on the list.
I do think Jerry Seinfeld, but if you want to put Jerry Seinfeld on the back of the list, that's fine. I do feel like Bill Cosby 100% belongs on this list.
Dad is great. Gives us chocolate cake.
It's genius.
Yes.
Now, I understand he's hit some hard times.
Listen, we're not worried about the hard times.
Right. If you and I would put Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Because it's not based upon anything other than your baseball performance.
Didn't Ty Cobb murder someone?
It's debatable.
If he did, he still belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Because it's a baseball museum.
It's a baseball thing.
This is a comedian Mount Rushmore.
That's it.
It's got nothing to do with anything else. And that being said, Bill Cosby belongs on this list.
100%.
Okay. So for me, that was the first slam dunk. I think we could show some of our ignorance here. I'm not super familiar with the older stand-up comedians.
So, do you know George Carlin?
Yeah.
I mean, I find him funny.
I'm going like, have you ever, I mean,
he was 70s, 60s, and 70s because he's hippie.
Now, partially, my bias is going to come through. I am not a fan of dirty stand-up comedians. And it's not even like I'm just to listen to it. I mean, I prefer not to listen to it. But I feel like it's lazy.
It's the low-hanging fruit.
And I feel like George Carlin gets a lot of credit for being great, but I can't listen to his stuff. I won't listen to it.
Well, yeah. See, that's part of the problem. In the whole act, there's going to be segments, and almost anybody. It's hard to watch any Netflix stand-up without segments of it? Like,
Well, I've got 4
could they
people
not just skip over
from
that?
my list that stand-up comedians that work clean. I take my kids to see them. So
Okay, who's on your list?
Bill Cosby,
Yes.
Jerry Seinfeld,
Yeah.
Brian Regan, and I would probably put Bob Newhart on it, although you may or may not have heard him before do his stand-up. But I would like to make a pitch for Andy Griffith.
I've never heard his stand-up.
It's pre his
Yeah.
TV show. Like, he was really young.
Right.
But I used to listen to the comedy channel on, like, satellite radio, and they had, like, an old comedian thing, and his stand-up was really, really good. He used to do this whole bit where he would retell a Shakespearean play, like Romeo and Juliet,
Yeah.
as, like, a hick from North Carolina.
Okay.
And it was really, really funny. Like, it stood up.
Yeah.
It's hard to do something like in the 1950s
That
that's
stood
still
through
funny
time, yeah.
today. And
Yeah.
it was.
Okay.
So,
I can't because I've never heard it.
yeah.
I can't put him
So
up there.
I just wanted to mention him. I just wanted to give him his credit.
But
But Bob, have you heard Bob Newhart stand up?
yes.
It's genius. He does the
Yes.
whole thing with, like, the phone call, and
Yeah.
you can only hear one side of the conversation. It's really
Bob
funny.
Newhart is a genius.
So can we make it Bill Cosby, Jerry Seinfeld, Bob Newhart, and Brian Regan?
Okay, Brian Regan, I'm not sure if I'm on board with this.
He is the best comedian in the world today.
Louis C.K.?
Oh, Brian Regan, way better than Louis C.K. This goes back to low-hanging fruit.
Jim Gaffigan?
Not as funny as Brian Regan. I like Jim Gaffigan.
I think Jim Gaffigan is great. You're going to skip over Kevin Hart?
Yeah, I'm skipping over it. I feel like there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there. Not just the dirty stuff.
I like Kevin Hart. I think he's pretty
but
funny.
even, like, some of it's just cliche to me, his stuff.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy had a stand-up that was, like he was, like, big time.
Yes.
So was Steve Martin.
Steve Martin is great. I love Steve Martin.
Steve Martin's stand-up was pretty great.
I'd rather have Steve Martin
I'd like
on
to
there.
start off. I like to start off every show by doing something that's physically impossible. Now I'm going to suck this stool into my lungs through the straw. And then he goes, he says, "Oh well,
Yeah.
I guess can't do it," or something like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound funny now, but in 1978,
It was hilarious
it
in
was
78.
hilarious. Yeah. Eddie. So Bill Cosby, Steve Martin, Jerry Seinfeld,
and Bob Newhart.
No Brian Regan.
Let's skip over Brian Regan.
Oh, okay. I'm okay with the list that we just made.
Yeah.
Because they're all great. But I want to make a formal petition or a formal complaint that I think I'm like that guy, that like Indian dude that is like etching like on the other side of Mount Rushmore. He's creating a crazy horse statue. Do you know about this?
No.
There's this guy that's like, if you drive like 20 minutes from Mount Rushmore, there's a guy that's making a giant,
Like by himself?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Except it's like twice as big as any of the other things, and
Okay.
it's going to take him like 50 years to do it. But he's making like a,
How old is
a
this
crazy
guy?
horse. I don't know, but he's making a crazy. So for me, this is like I'm going to walk over, and I'm going to buy my own mountain, and I'm going to pound Brian Regan's face into it.
I'm not saying I'm a fan, but does Rodney Dangerfield any credit?
And not if you ask him.
No respect.
I feel like he's like
Listen, I'm not
Listen,
a huge fan
I-
myself.
I
I'm
listen
just
to
saying,
a-
does he belong on
a
it?
lot of people revere him, and they think, but for me, he's a one-trick pony.
Okay. That's fine. I'm not
So-
making a case for him.
I feel like that's
worth-
controversial, and I feel like some other people would want to like definitely put Dave Chappelle on this list.
Yeah.
Like we even talk about Chris Rock. Chris Rock is revered as a stand-up comedian.
He is.
But this is not anybody else's list. This is our list.
I think Richard Pryor is hilarious, too. Some of his stand-up, I
don't know.
just find it funny.
All right, that's fine. A lot of other people do too.
Robin Williams?
Oh man, yeah. Apparently, Robin Williams, like I was listening to an interview with Dennis Miller, and he said he just would never follow. Like he refused to follow Robin Williams. Like he said, there's no point.
You're done.
Like
Yeah.
if you don't want to be the next guy up after Robin Williams. I don't know. I mean, it's our list is so good. It's hard for me to.
I would consider. Listen.
All
for
right,
this.
all right,
Listen.
listening.
Listen.
Okay.
Listen. For the sake of just having some different people, I would be okay taking off Seinfeld, knowing he's already on the TV one.
I'm not. Listen, you can't take away Brian Regan and Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take away Brian Regan. We'll keep it.
So
So what's
Cosby-
what's the definitive list?
Cosby, Seinfeld,
Bob Newhart.
and Steve Martin.
Yes.
That's the list.
I like it. That's
All
good.
right, there it is. All right, that was the TV one was easy. The movie one and the stand-up one very difficult.
Stand-up, I think, was the worst.
Yeah, and I feel like because comedy is
Not the
so-
worst, the hardest.
The hardest.
Yeah.
Because comedy is so subjective, I feel like we could have offended a lot of people, and
That's
a lot
okay.
of people are just screaming right now.
Half of America already hates us.
Not quite half.
That's right, because the majority elected Trump.
All right, this is Dan signing off for Jason, reminding you to always keep your stick on the ice and never wear the blue sweats.
Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog.
Thank you.